14,400 hours. That is the exact amount of time you will spend sitting at a wooden desk under humming fluorescent lights before you are handed a high school diploma. You memorize equations you will never use while staring out the window at a world built on capital. The system knows one thing about you. You are being prepared to sell your labor in exchange for a paycheck. There is no relationship here, there is a transaction. You are trained to follow instructions and view a steady salary as the ultimate security. But outside the school gates, you realize the rules of wealth are different. Something changes, but not dramatically. You enter the workforce and receive your first paycheck of $2,500. You sign a contract for a new car on dealer finance that costs $450 per month. You think you have acquired a valuable asset simply because the vehicle looks impressive in your driveway. But the bank extracts that $450 monthly, while the vehicle loses 15% of its value the moment you leave the lot. This is what the competence plateau actually feels like. You are running on a treadmill, working 40 hours every week just to fund objects that are actively draining your bank account. The first rule: assets put money in your pocket, while liabilities take money out of it. The wealthy buy assets like real estate, stocks, or businesses that generate cash flow, while the poor and middle class buy liabilities that they mistake for assets. If you buy a golden sword simply because it looks beautiful, you have bought a liability that requires maintenance and loses value over time. If you buy a book of mending to repair your tools and increase your farming efficiency, you have bought an asset that compounds your productivity. The shift occurs when you stop working to buy things and start working to buy assets. But even if you decide to be disciplined and save your money, the system has another trap waiting for you. You place $10,000 in a traditional savings account that pays a negligible interest rate of 0.01% per year. You feel safe because the numbers on your screen do not go down. But outside the bank walls, the price of groceries, fuel, and housing is rising at 4% annually. Your diamonds are sitting in a chest, but the chest is slowly turning them into coal. The system knows one thing about savers. They are volunteering to pay a quiet tax that erodes their purchasing power day by day. The second rule: savers are losers because inflation is a quiet tax on your purchasing power. If you leave $100,000 in cash for 10 years at 4% inflation, your purchasing power drops to $66,000. Saving cash is a losing strategy because governments print currency daily, diluting every dollar you earn. You must invest in vehicles that outpace inflation or watch your hard work dissolve in silence. This is legal, and it is normal. Once you understand that cash is trash, you begin to look at debt not as a danger, but as a potential weapon. In school, you were taught that all debt is bad and should be avoided at all costs. But the wealthy view debt through a completely different lens. Debt is like TNT. It can blast through solid rock to uncover wealth, or it can blow up your own house. If you use a credit card for a $2,000 television, you are using bad debt for a liability. You will pay 22% interest on that television for years, making the bank rich while you remain poor. But using an $80,000 loan to buy a $100,000 rental property is good debt. The tenant pays the mortgage. The property value appreciates, and you collect the remaining cash flow every month. The third rule: debt is a leverage tool that the rich use to buy assets, while the poor use it to buy liabilities. The rich use other people's money to build their wealth, while the poor use their own future time to pay off past consumption. The rules become flexible once you show the bank you can manage debt to generate cash flow. They will lend you millions at 5% interest, knowing you will buy assets yielding 8%. You pocket the 3% difference, scaling your wealth without using a single dollar of your own money. But to reach this level of leverage, you must first change how you view your most valuable resource, your time. You sell your hours to the highest bidder, trading your life force for a paycheck. You believe that working harder is the only way to earn more money. But there are only 24 hours in a day, which limits your earning potential. The wealthy do not trade their personal time for money. They buy back their time by employing others. Steve hires villagers to harvest crops for a fixed wage, while he builds a stone fortress. They receive a stable salary, but Steve owns the fortress and the crop yields. The fourth rule: you do not get rich by working for money, but by owning systems that employ other people's labor. The system is built on leverage, and the highest form of leverage is human capital. Paying someone $20 per hour for work that generates $50 per hour buys your time back at a profit. You can then focus on negotiating deals and allocating capital. As your business systems grow, you will quickly face another partner who wants a piece of your success: the government. In school, you were taught that taxes are an unavoidable burden that everyone must pay equally. The tax code is not a book of punishments, but a book of incentives. It is a 6,000-page guide on how to get rich by helping the government. The government wants housing for its citizens, jobs for its workers, and energy for its economy. Building housing rewards you with depreciation write-offs and tax-free cash flow. Starting a business allows you to write off expenses before paying tax. The fifth rule: taxes are not a penalty, but an incentive system designed by governments to reward capital owners. An employee earning $100,000 is taxed at the source, losing 30% before the money hits their account. A business owner spends on business expenses first, then pays tax on what remains. This is what the wealthy call legal tax avoidance, and it is the primary engine of wealth preservation. Once you stop losing your wealth to taxes and inflation, your money begins to compound in silence. You do not see the results immediately. The first $100,000 takes years of grinding, saving, and sacrificing. It feels like pushing a massive boulder up a steep hill where every inch requires intense effort. Once you reach that milestone, the boulder rolls down the other side under its own weight. The sixth rule: wealth compounds in silence, where the first $100,000 is a mountain and the next million is an inevitability. Investing $100,000 at 8% takes 9 years to reach $200,000, but the jump from $900,000 to $1 million takes only 15 months. The machine does not ask if you are ready, it simply responds to the mathematics of compounding. But to get the ball rolling, you cannot rely on pennies from a side hustle. You must focus on building a high-income skill that can generate massive active income. Many attempt to build passive income before they have capital. They buy fractional shares or start online stores with a $500 budget. Neither is useful. You cannot invest your way to wealth with $50 a month. The seventh rule: high-income skills are the engine of capital, and you must build earning power before you can build passive wealth. You must master a skill valued at $10,000 per month, such as enterprise sales, software architecture, or corporate finance. You can then live on a fraction of your income and channel the rest into assets. The rules of the game are open to everyone, but you have to unlearn school first. 14,400 hours. Somewhere in this city, a younger version of you is sitting in a classroom, staring at the clock. They do not know yet what the journey costs, not in dollars, but in the beliefs they will have to abandon. The machine opens every morning, taking whoever shows up to learn its math. The clock ticks to 3 p.m. It always starts there. It always will.